Welcome back to another episode of Urban Crime Stories. In this episode, we will explore the horrifying case of the Dardeen family. The residents of Ena, Illinois associate the name Dardeen with a horrifying quadruple murder that occurred in their quiet town in the late 1980s. Life in Ena used to be simple, with a store, a gas station, a firehouse, a bank, a post office, and not much else. However, in 1987, the community was shaken by a gruesome murder that remains unsolved to this day. Let's take a deeper dive. Russell Keith Dardeen, born on June 22, 1958, was a native of Mount Carmel, Illinois. In 1986, after completing the training required for his job as a treatment plant operator at Rend Lake, he bought a trailer and rented land from a farming couple outside the village of Ena, Illinois. Elaine, who hailed from Albion, Illinois and was a bit closer to Ena, later moved there with their 2-year-old son, Peter. Keith worked while his wife, Elaine, got a job at an office supply store in Mount Vernon, the Jefferson County seat. Outside of work, they were members of the musical ensemble at a small Baptist church in the village. Keith sang lead vocals, and Elaine played the piano. In 1987, Elaine found out she was expecting the couple's second child. They planned to name the baby Ian or Casey, depending on whether it was a boy or a girl. The upcoming addition to their family made Keith and Elaine think about moving, and by the end of the year, they had listed their mobile home for sale. Yet that wasn't the sole motivation behind the decision to move. As per Joanne Dardeen, Keith's mother, he had expressed the intention to return to Mount Carmel, even if he couldn't secure a job there before moving. He regretted ever coming to Ena, mentioning to her that the area was getting too violent. In the preceding 2 years, Jefferson County, Illinois had witnessed 15 homicides, beginning with the ones committed by Thomas Odell, a Mount Vernon teenager who killed his parents and 3 siblings as they returned home one night in 1985, each coming in separately. Even though Odell and some others accused of murder had been found guilty, people living in the rural area became scared and anxious. According to a friend of Keith, his protective instincts heightened after a 10-year-old girl was raped and murdered in the area in May 1987. One night, when a young woman approached the mobile home asking to make a phone call, Keith, being cautious, didn't allow her to come inside. On November 18, 1987, Keith, a dependable worker at the treatment plant, failed to show up for his shift. Without notifying his supervisor in advance, he didn't answer calls made to his house throughout the day. Keith's supervisor reached out to both of his parents, who, despite being divorced, resided near each other in Mount Carmel. Neither parent had any information about what might have occurred to their son. Don Dardeen, Keith's father, contacted the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office and agreed to drive to Ena with the house key. He planned to meet deputies at his son and daughter-in-law's home, located between Illinois Route 37 and the former Illinois Central Railroad tracks, now used by Union Pacific, just north of the Franklin County line. Inside, they discovered the bodies of Elaine, Peter, and a newborn girl all lying in the same bed. Elaine had been tied up and silenced with duct tape, and both had been fatally beaten. It seemed with a baseball bat found at the scene, a birthday gift to Peter from his father earlier that year. Elaine had been beaten so severely that she went into labor and gave birth to a girl, who sadly suffered the same fate as her mother and brother. Keith was missing, and so was his car, a red 1981 Plymouth. Investigators suspected that he might have killed his wife and children and was on the loose. A team of armed police went to Keith's mother's house in Mount Carmel to search for him. The search came to an end late the next day when a group of hunters discovered Keith's body in a wheat field not far from the trailer, just south of the Franklin-Jefferson County line near Rend Lake College. He had been shot 3 times and his private part was severed. The Plymouth was found parked outside the police station in Benton, 11 miles south of the Dardeen home, and its interior was stained with blood. The news of the killings heightened the fear among local residents. Many people started carrying shotguns openly in the gun racks of their vehicles as they went about their daily activities. After high school basketball games, students chose to wait inside the school building for their parents to join them, accompanying them to the parking lot for their ride home, rather than socializing outside as they usually did. Early police reports on the crime were limited and, at times, conflicting, leading to the spread of rumors. The coroners from the two counties couldn't agree on whether Keith's cause of death was a head injury or a gunshot wound. The circumstances surrounding Elaine giving birth, possibly after her death, to her short-lived daughter fueled stories that Casey, as the family called her, had been forcibly taken from her mother's womb. The mutilation of Keith's genitals added to speculation that there were Satanists in the area performing a ritual sacrifice on the family. Some also theorized that the crime, along with 3 other local unsolved murders, might be the work of a serial killer operating in the region. Local police agencies teamed up with the Illinois State Police to look into the crime. A group of 30 detectives dedicated their time to pursuing leads and interviewing around 100 people. Unfortunately, none of the information they gathered led to any breakthroughs. A man who was initially taken into custody was released after questioning, and a co-worker of Keith's, with whom he was said to have a dispute, was also cleared of suspicion. No one who knew the couple had anything negative to say about them. A small amount of marijuana was discovered in the trailer, but it wasn't enough to indicate involvement in dealing drugs. The police even considered the possibility that the marijuana had been accidentally left behind by the killer or killers. The autopsies revealed no drugs or alcohol in any of the victims. The coroners determined that all the Dardeens died within an hour of each other. The bodies in the trailer had been killed 12 hours before their discovery, and Keith Dardeen had been deceased for 24 to 36 hours when found. However, this clarification made it more challenging to figure out how the crime occurred because Keith's body was found away from the trailer, raising the possibility that he might have been killed at a different location than his family. In the trailer, it appeared that the killer or killers had taken the time not only to place Elaine's body in bed with her children's bodies, but also to clean up the scene, indicating a lack of urgency to leave. The effort involved led the police to speculate that the crime might have occurred at night. Despite the trailer being located on Route 37, a busy state highway, it was visible from Interstate 57 nearly 2,000 feet to the west at that time. It remained unclear whether there was one killer or multiple perpetrators. The most hopeful lead emerged in 2000 when serial killer Tommy Lynn Sells was apprehended for slashing the throats of Kayleen Harris, 13, and Crystal Searles, 10, near Del Rio, Texas. Following his arrest, Tommy asserted that he was responsible for the Dardeen killing, along with another 70 unsolved murders. Tommy Lynn Sells was confirmed to have committed at least 22 murders, but investigators couldn't establish a connection to the Dardeen family murders. Despite providing statements, none of the details aligned with the evidence. In 2010, Sells claimed he had met Keith at a truck stop, and later he changed the story to meeting him at a local pool hall. In both versions, he asserted that Keith had invited him for dinner and a 3-way with him and Elaine. Keith's mother dismissed these claims, arguing that Keith was too protective of his family to engage in such activities. Initially convinced of Sells' guilt when he first confessed to the Dardeen family murders, Joanne became skeptical as further interviews revealed his unreliability. He inaccurately answered questions about Elaine's body position before eventually guessing correctly. While he got some details right, it was noted that these details could have easily been obtained from the media. In a 2010 interview, Sells expressed, "I know people have their doubts. They say there's no physical evidence tying me to the Dardeens, but there wasn't any because they weren't looking for me. I moved. I was always transient." Sells was executed by lethal injection in 2014 at the Huntsville Unit Prison in Huntsville, Texas, and to date, no one has been charged with the murders of the Dardeen family. The uncertainty lingers regarding whether Tommy Sells was truly involved in the Dardeen family murder, or if he was attempting to avoid the death penalty by confessing to crimes he hadn't committed, taking advantage of the judicial system's leniency. What are your thoughts about this case? Do you believe that Tommy Lynn Sells was the person who committed this gruesome act? Or was it a fake confession? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, if you haven't done so, or if you are new to our channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell to be notified for future cases. Until next time, I will see you with another episode of Urban Crime Stories.